Last night was a wild PLE Elimination Chamber. We got together at Chris's place. Thought it was going to be a good show, but I don't think anybody expected what happened at the end of the show to happen. And Triple H did tease a little bit that it was going to shake the wrestling industry. And people, when you hear that, they're like, yeah, okay, whatever. But that was a legit thing that I thought really shook up the industry and just made WrestleMania 41 infinitely more intriguing. With that, and also the Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, Naomi story, I thought that made the women's division infinitely more interesting going into WrestleMania 41. But our first segment, I initially planned for just trying to dissect and figure out, well, what do you think is going to happen with The Rock and Cody's soul thing? I thought maybe they might do a little bit of more teasing, and we'd keep thinking about it and predicting it on this show today. But we got a full-blown answer last night, a full-blown heel turn, an F-bomb from Cody Rhodes. We got blood. We got Travis Scott really stiffing Cody Rhodes in the head. If you saw that, I would be not surprised if he had a problem with them backstage, but maybe that's what they wanted. But I want to go around the room here and ask all of you guys your reactions after you had time to digest it last night, because we were watching it and I was like, man, this feels like 9/11 last night. I was like, man, John Cena.
Do you remember where you were at?
Do you remember where you were at when it happened? And I was like, holy cow. It's like these kinds of moments where you do remember where you are. Like, honestly, like this is one of those moments. Chris, what are your thoughts after John Cena became a bad man?
5 big booms for John Cena. Boom, 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 boom. That was like, I still don't have words for it. It was amazing. Like everybody wanted it for the longest time, but like it came at a moment where you really didn't expect it, because you were like, it was that sleight of hand magician stuff they kind of did, where it's like, okay, John Cena won, whatever. Of course, it's John Cena winning. He's going to go into the sunset being a champion or whatever. And then all that stuff proceeded. And I mean, you couldn't have really predicted it. I mean, I don't think even the dirt sheets were really predicting that. I'm convinced that they have some kind of an office, or maybe it's Shawn Michaels and them. I saw a meme where it was Shawn Michaels and Triple H typing on like a computer or some shit, saying like to misdirect the dirt sheets. Like, here's some bullshit misinformation, so y'all think that this is what it is, but in fact, it wasn't that. So I mean, I don't think anybody predicted how that kind of went down. So I mean, shocking, legendary. It's gonna go down in history books as far as wrestling stuff. So
I mean, yeah, I think they did the dirt sheets leading up to the Elimination Chamber. There was like news stories of like, leaks that Drew McIntyre was going to win.
Yeah,
Chamber.
Imagine paying for a Patreon and getting that as the exclusive scoop.
I mean, I feel like,
idiot.
Yeah, like once you have like, I mean, once you get like stuff like that where they're like fully certain, and then it switches up on you, I wouldn't bother paying for that service. And yeah, I mean, no one expected it. I think people were hoping for John Cena to win the Chamber, and that happened. And the conversation around the Cody Rhodes soul thing, I mean, it was like, is Cody going to turn heel? Like that, no one was anticipating like the winner of the Elimination Chamber, which became John Cena, and then he becomes the heel. But like seeing, I mean, maybe people were just connecting dots, or maybe Triple H and the creative team have been stitching together the their creative decisions, like when The Rock showed up at Bad Blood and then he did this, and maybe they're like, "Ooh, maybe we can turn this to an angle."
Arrow.
Yeah, maybe they did plan it that far ahead, and people really do have to trust the process. And I've told, and people say that, letting him cook. Clearly, people just had to wait a week and just see where it went, So I don't know. Maybe it was a long-term thing. Maybe they just went super smart and then connected the dots and showed like, see that like they were actually thinking about all of this. Which whatever they did, it worked. I think people will be less doubting of Triple H's book. I mean, like I feel like the one thing is like, look at last year. I mean, think of that whole Bloodline Cody Rhodes story. They pivoted, and what a great like WrestleMania season they did. So it's not like there was a lack of precedent from Triple H's booking. And last year was the first full year that Triple H actually had creative control. And now we're seeing the fruits of this era again with a John Cena heel turn that probably would have never happened under Vince McMahon. I don't think like in a retirement tour, I feel like especially he wouldn't allow it just because that's his Hogan, his other Hogan. David, what do you think? What did you think after last night? How did you wake up and how do you feel about the story now?
I'm glad it happened. I think it was a better option than like most of the chamber. Not that necessarily anybody in the chamber was like a bad option, but I think this was the best curveball that they could throw. And I think it makes Cena's part-time retirement tour that much better.
I mean, I was making those comments like, man, people. I was like, man, people are gonna it might like boo him because like he's like you're trying to get some good graces from him because it's his last year, but he at the end of the Rumble he loses the Rumble and then he just announces that he's going into the Elimination Chamber, and people gave him the benefit of the doubt, be like, well, it's his retirement tour. He put the time in. He deserves it. He's the kind of guy who can just do that. And then he just doesn't show up at any of the Raws or SmackDowns leading up to the Elimination Chamber, including the one the night before the Chamber. So I thought, man, if he's just going to be doing this the entire year, I don't know, people might be upset. But he basically was like, you know what? Let me do it for you. Now I'll let you boo me because I actually turned heel, turned into a bad guy.
I think it's a little too late to like be a bad guy though. Like I don't think that it's gonna have like I don't think he'll get like any type of NWO heat. Like even yesterday after they were beating up Cody, he was kind of getting applauded because so many people waited. He waited way too long, and like the wrestling landscape's different in general, where it's more so people understand that they're watching a show. It's not like Hogan getting death threats and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, when Hogan turned, you were getting debris, you were getting cans, all sorts of stuff getting thrown at him when he was the third man that was revealed.
And I seen a lot of like that this is just as big. I don't think so. Like John Cena doesn't have his own restaurants and malls and cartoons and things like that.
He's got cartoons. He's got movies. He is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, Make-A-Wish Foundation wish maker, whatever you want to call him.
Break a wish.
He's also, I think he is one of those people that people know in pop culture. If you like, oh yeah, I know Karrion Kross. No one's gonna know who Karrion Kross is.
I don't even know who Karrion Kross is.
Or even like, I don't know, I could be even a little higher, like Damian Priest. Like he's popular, but like John Cena is the type of person who does go beyond that. I do see him as like a Rock or a Stone Cold because people know the name John Cena. And I mean, he shows up in Fast and Furious, he's in Peacemaker and all those kinds of things.
He's a Jimmy Fallon
for 9 years.
He has, yeah. But I mean, he has that gravitas though. Having that heel turn is still maybe it's not Hogan NWO, but I think it's a damn close second or third. Like if we're talking about like most shocking heel turns, it's got to be at the top. Maybe not one, but
I
pretty
don't think
damn close.
anything will ever beat one.
Yeah. I mean, not that level. I mean, and it was also never done like that before. So I mean, we're the current version of like the Cena turn. We're using that original one as a comparison. So it is really difficult to replicate something truly that's already been done before that you can compare it to, but still very effective and super intriguing going
Absolutely.
forward, if anything. I mean, we'll see what this looks like because we still don't know what a heel John Cena looks like. Is he getting a new theme song? Is he keeping the jorts? Is he keeping the colorful shirts? Is he just wearing all black? Is he just going to be, a cheesy bad guy heel? I don't know what that looks like.
He's just gonna be himself.
Versace.
Yeah, it might be.
Gonna be
Yeah,
dressing like The Rock.
Yeah, just two guys in Versace vests
Yep.
and
Designer
chains.
sunglasses.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking Persols.
Andres, what you watched it top to bottom, and then you saw that ending, and you woke up this morning. How do you feel about John Cena becoming a heel?
Uh, with how I saw it though, like I remember I saw the Elimination Chamber whole match, and then I actually made the mistake of like walking away, and I lay down for a minute on my phone, and I like closed my eyes for like 5 minutes, and I woke up and I still heard the TV. I was like, oh, I like got up and I ran, and then by the time I got back, I saw Cody on the floor like all bloody, and Cena putting his foot on his head, and I'm like, whoa, like what happened? I'm like,
Let me
the
rewind.
worst time to walk away, man. I was feeling tired during the pay per view at the very end, so like, oh, I'm just gonna lay down. But I was like, big mistake. But no, I couldn't escape not seeing it. Like even on this morning and even after last night, just every page was just showing it. People were messaging me about it. And I was like, oh my god, yeah, that's insane. Honestly though, like I saw it, I was shocked initially, but then I was like, you know what? I'm happy with this. Like I'm very curious now, more so now, especially for his farewell tour or whatever. So like, cause yeah, like to your point, Marcin, it was kind of like, well, yeah, he's just gonna, we know he's working towards Mania. He's trying to get the final belt, and then he'll ride off to the sunset, whatever, which would have been fine, but felt like, well, we kind of see what it's gonna be now. This just completely changes the entire landscape of the road to WrestleMania. So I like everyone else, I'm very curious to see like his next appearance and how it's gonna go. Like you said, is he gonna change his music, his style? I don't know, but
Man,
I'm very okay with it actually. Like
yeah.
like I was never one of those people that wanted him to turn heel. I didn't really have much of a opinion on it. I just liked him anyways. But now that it's here and it's actually happened, I'm like, wow, I'm actually like now super intrigued by it.
Yeah, like when it was like peak John Cena, like prime of his career, I couldn't envision a heel turn. He just wasn't that guy. I thought if he was gonna, I think he would have been at most like a tweener, like kind of gray. And that it was kind of like that when he was facing The Rock, but it was just like two greats kind of going after each other. Like it just felt like, like a real feud between the two. And there wasn't necessarily a good guy or a bad guy. It's just like whichever one was your favorite.
The
That's who you were
guy.
cheering for. Yeah. But with this, it's different because again, it is a different crowd. Cody Rhodes is the guy, and I think that's partially why they were comfortable to give John Cena, who like David, you're right. He's been a part timer for like 6 years at this point. He has not been in the ring from like January to December every month in 7 years, 7 or 8 years. So it's been a while. It makes sense. Like, and again, like the hypocrisy, I'm sure is not lost on him. And I think he's apologized to The Rock because he was doing that messaging to him when he was in Hollywood and he was complaining how, I put in all the work and he's a part timer, The Rock via satellite t-shirts, and he's basically doing the same thing. Which is why this alignment makes complete sense because they have, I mean, John Cena's movie career is not anywhere close to The Rock's right now, but they have a similar upbringing and career right now where they're wrestling or they're in a wrestling company, but they're also really involved in Hollywood. They're making TV shows and movies. It makes sense. And it makes sense for him to be a heel at this point. I think everyone wanted to see that retirement tour, but now it's a whole different layer and perspective on this retirement tour. And also the stakes, I think, are much higher. And I think John Cena has a greater chance getting that 17th title now than if he was a face facing Cody Rhodes. Because I feel like they could have still like have him lose to Cody Rhodes and he would just keep going like the man, I just can't catch a break. I just keep losing. And then he just finally wins, you know, at the end of the
loser.
Yeah, exactly. Like I thought that was going to be the story where he was going to basically do the Rocky thing where he just loses and loses. And then he finally wins. Was it Rocky 2? He wins. I thought that's what they were going to do. Maybe like we were talking about a special in December. I think they're going to do like a John Cena PLE in December. But the other thing that I was thinking about, do you think this retirement tour is a swerve? Do you think this was part of the story? Or do you think he's actually retiring?
I think he's retiring.
Yeah, I think he's retiring. I mean, it's like he's allowing himself to do all the craziness on this last tour for himself. So you've never seen him turn heel. He's like, I'm gonna turn heel on this like last run. So I think he's gonna throw the kitchen sink at the thing, and then kind of go for it.
Mm.
The Deadly Alliance.
Yeah. Shang Tsung. Yeah, The Rock is Shang Tsung because he talks about souls, and John Cena's Quan Chi. Basically,
Cody Rhodes is Liu Kang.
Cody Rhodes is Liu Kang.
Nice.
Should have been
Next
Elton
snap.
Yeah, we always say we know what happens to him, right?
Snapped his neck.
Yeah, I'm curious what they're gonna do with Travis Scott though, because do you think he's gonna be? I think he might wrestle at WrestleMania. That's what it sounds like, and I think there's gonna be some weird night one tag team match again between probably Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns and The Rock and John Cena. Maybe Travis Scott as a special referee or something. I don't know.
I don't even think he's coherent enough to do one of those.
You don't think so? How fucked up do you think he was when he socked Cody in the side of the head?
Jeff Hardy versus Sting.
Damn.
Yeah. Didn't The Rock say that he might have gotten like a contact high off him?
Yeah.
During the press conference,
Lighting that sage,
and then he walked out with a wine glass of tequila.
Terramana.
Conference, yeah, Terramana. I feel like I should just try because I just totally forgot he has a tequila company.
You ever tried it?
Pretty good.
No, I don't think so.
It's actually pretty good. I'm not a big fan of tequila, but like that one, I could put down pretty well. It's not bad. It's pretty smooth.
Doesn't John Cena also have his own alcohol too? Doesn't he have like a whiskey? I think he's got some kind of whiskey. I think all three of them have a different type of alcohol grain. Because Cody Rhodes represents, well, he doesn't make it, but he's like a face of the what's that vodka? Wheatley?
Yeah.
Heatley something, like they have that. He was having conversations with folks. I think it's Wheatley vodka.
Yeah.
And then The Rock has a tequila, and I think John Cena has like a whiskey or a brandy. They all have some kind of booze, but yeah, I'm curious how they are going to wrap this up in a year. If he actually is saying that he's going to retire, do you think he's going to retire as a heel?
Nah.
he's probably gonna have a redemption, some weird like turn.
That quick, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they've done it for other characters sooner. I mean, we talked about Big Show, but I think you can do this, and it'll just really depend on what John Cena's explanation is, how he carries himself, and all that. You know, I don't know what I am so excited to see what this looks like. You have no idea.
I did it for The Rock.
Honestly, and the crowd reactions, like what is that? I think he's just going to be cheered. Like he like The Rock. The reason The Rock like got booed so much is because people felt a certain kind of way that it did feel like he was taking Cody's spot. Like that was a legit distasteful thing. But John Cena, I mean, he's got a retirement tour. He just gave us what we wanted for 15 years. And he raised that championship, and the people in Toronto, I mean, they were that was cheering when he
they're
raised
not that
up.
smart over there, though.
I mean, but we were also like
I
excited.
apologize to our
Even in the
Canadian
living room.
fans.
Yeah, I mean,
I ain't apologizing for shit.
I mean, we were also
They booed our
cheering.
national anthem.
Blame Canada.
We were also cheering them. I mean, like we think it's exciting, and I think that's going
cool.
to reflect other cities too. Where are they tomorrow? Do you know? I don't remember. But wherever they are on Raw and SmackDown, wherever they're going to be on SmackDown, I think he's going to get cheered.
I hope R-Truth is all right.
I that's the other thing I'm curious. How are they going to tie R-Truth into this? Because it's such a serious angle right now. And then, I mean, R-Truth, I guess he could be that levity.
Oh, stupid phone.
I kind of see it.
R-Truth just posted a picture of Cena strangling Rhodes and put AI generated.
Oh, yeah, I did see that.
Oh my god.
He said that it's AI generated. Yeah. Man, he's got to come out in like the John Cena gear and talk about how he grew up watching him and all that.
Little Jimmy.
And just beat him up. I think that would maybe give him some heat if he beat up R-Truth. But
I see a lot of funny posts that everybody's like, "Oh, we seen Cena turn heel. He beat up Rey Mysterio in 2012 or 2011, whenever he did that."
When
shit
he won the WWE Championship,
yeah,
and then lost it. I mean, same thing with Zack Ryder when he was making out with. Is
it Rosa?
No, it wasn't Rosa Mendez. God, I forgot. Well, he was making out with his then girlfriend, so that wasn't great either. And he was a face. That was definitely objectively an a-hole thing to do. I mean, especially that was like kissing babies, visiting cancer kids, John Cena. So that was questionable. I'm sure they're going to point to those kinds of situations and be like, see, it's been there all along. He just been taking everyone for a ride. Yeah, he was actually collecting those checks, and he said, "Screw them kids." After all that,
I also seen that like if you watch Total Divas, this guy's been a heel forever.
I mean, Nikki Bella.
Don't touch me, bitch.
Yeah, I saw clips in here and there, but yeah, I want to see where this goes. I mean, we've seen him in Peacemaker. He is a bad guy in there technically, So, and Suicide Squad, I guess that's where he first was Peacemaker. But who was he in Fast and Furious? Was he a bad guy in Fast and Furious?
It was Dom Toretto's brother.
Yeah, he was a bad guy, and I think he turns into a good guy by the end.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of his bad guy acting? Is that going to be reflective of?
All it is he makes the face he made right before he kicked Cody in the nuts. He just walks around.
Just cartoonish henchman bad guy face.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
I guess we'll see. I mean, wrestling is I'm sure is more comfortable for him than I think than a camera,
and driving a Mustang.
Yeah,
to stop a helicopter.
Was that after the Rock feud? He was in a Fast Furious movie.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because Fast at 10 Part 2's coming out soon, and he's in that. I'm pretty sure.
See, they're just gonna tie it and be like, The Rock gave me these roles, these favors. I showed up in Fast and Furious movies. We're best friends now, man. That's wild.
We're gonna do the Predator handshake on camera. You son of a bitch.
He might be dead in Fast Furious. I don't know.
Well, either way, so he played a bad guy, so in there, but so he kind of it's not like he hasn't played a bad guy in over 20 years.
Oh yeah, he did. He died at the last one in an explosion, but Fast and Furious is like Mortal Kombat. He'll be back.
True. Yeah, exactly. You can explain it away. Like what Michelle Rodriguez, wasn't she supposed to be dead in like the first or second Fast and Furious movie or third one, and then she comes back somehow?
Yep.
You know what I
Monster
mean?
Reborn.
Yeah. Like it doesn't matter. Fast and Furious in space. So the main conversation is about today is about I want to talk about kayfabe, breaking kayfabe, the impact of kayfabe with reality and wrestling now, and I kind of want to start off by just ending this specific segment with how The Rock approaches his press conferences and how he talks about like literally what just happened and frames it as like, did you check out that performance we just did? And then he kind of walks people through and kind of explains it about why he did this and why he did that. And I guess I'm curious about what your guys' thoughts are about him doing that, because last night we saw two distinct performances, and one was more of just like an actual Dwayne Johnson, just talking about the match, and the other one was it's John Cena was still in character at the press conference. That was him being a bad guy. But when The Rock came out and did his press conference, he was wearing his Dwayne Johnson hat on, and there was some winks and nods, but it was largely like it literally just happened. You had this shocking thing, and The Rock is like explaining, why John Cena wants to do this, and he's like trying to do like a character study about him instead of like talking it from the perspective of the story. He's breaking it down like he was an actor who just got off set, and he's talking to Access Hollywood or somebody like that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
how do you guys feel about that? About him doing that, and how that's just used as a tool in wrestling now? Do you guys feel like that's weird? David, what are your thoughts about what The Rock did?
I feel like there stuff like that's cool, but not like 5 minutes after. Like I think it makes good WWE 24 episodes and
Right.
things like that. But like I don't necessarily understand the desire to explain something right after it happened. Like I don't I feel like it takes away from being able to digest it
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, yeah, like wrestling's PG, but it's just like at the end of the day, when you do something like a John Cena heel turn, like that's that's something that should be able to simmer. Like you should be able, like, not that I want to see kids cry, but it's like we should got some clips of like kids being upset, things like that. Like, just like little things that help them cook. I
Yeah.
don't think I don't think I don't think that anybody in the world ever feels that wrestling is real anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And other than like the small internet crowd, but and Eddie Kingston, but the rest is just it. I don't think like it just doesn't mesh with me because it's like we know we get it, like it happened because XYZ. Like
Right.
we like is a press conference right after Triple H? Is that really the time to just be like, oh yeah, well this was my thought process behind it? It's like the you know chief content officer just went out there and did his thing, and you're just like, oh yeah, because this is my idea for it.
Right.
Who cares?
And I think there's a time and a place, but there was literally no breathing room. Like this
Right.
literally just happened like 5 or 10 minutes after this happened, and you're just like, all right, thanks for the performance.
Yeah.
I got my roses, and now here's the Q&A about what the performance we just did. Everyone knows that it's scripted, with the exception of maybe 0.9% of people who watch this. But again, I
And
feel
Eddie
like,
Kingston.
and Eddie Kingston, who's that part of that 0.9%. But, feel like there still has to be some kind of time and a place. I don't think you should be necessarily treating wrestling as a movie. It's a scripted show, but it's like its own beast because
Right.
Cody Rhodes is still Cody Rhodes. It's not like uh, John Cena, who is in a movie and he's called Peacemaker. John Cena, he's John Cena in real life, and then he's John Cena in the ring. So wrestling has this weird fusion and just different plane of existence. I feel like that you have to treat it a little differently, especially with these press conferences. I feel like you gotta mix the real, like have some real emotions in there, but you also gotta stick to certain story beats. And this, like, you can't have The Rock talk about, like, again, doing a character study of why John Cena wants to be a bad guy or whatever, when you literally just had John Cena show up to drop a mic, like he was in character doing that. And then you're talking about it from like a whole different perspective, as if you're like separated from it when you're both at the same press conference. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's
Yeah.
weird.
It's like he explains things to like the rest of the board. Like I don't necessarily think anybody in the general audience really cares to hear that. Like he's not like at the end of the day, those post conferences and everything are like it's not really necessarily to unveil the curtain. Like they got WWE 24 and all these other things in the works.
But
So where
again,
press
like
conferences-
it's like things that they talk about. It's like 24 or whatever. It's like when it happened like a year later, or even
Right.
like they talk about Montreal Screwjob and all that kind of stuff. Like 10 years later, 5 years later, there's documentaries about it and all that kind of stuff. But not literally same day. 10 minutes, didn't even, the body's not even cold yet, and you're already doing an analysis on it, you know? Chris, what about you? What do you think about that kind of situation?
Yeah, I mean, like I was still riding high off of the John Cena thing, so I didn't really have too many thoughts of Dwayne talking. It was a lot of just like white noise to me. Must have been the alcohol, but just kind of looking at it after like watching it this morning, yeah, I mean, it just feels kind of corny. You know what I mean? Like it's like he's treating it like you said, kind of like it's a movie or whatever, and that it's not this like it's wrestling works best when they're blending reality with that fiction where you just can't tell what's real and what's not. And I just think it just he dropped the ball, I would say, on that specific thing. I wasn't a fan of
the
it.
contact high was too real.
Yeah.
Too much tequila. Andre, so what about you? What do you think? What do you just think about that concept of like, like this major thing just happens, and then we just get like post-mortem analysis immediately after, kind of just I mean, literally, I mean, just treating it like I just got off a TV show. Let me talk to you about what just happened.
Yeah. I unfortunately didn't get to watch the post show, but I did see a clip of The Rock talking about it. I think I saw like someone asking him a question about Travis Scott potentially wrestling eventually, and he's like, "Oh yeah, that's why we're putting him in." I guess like that was an idea, and I thought that was, and with how casual he was about it too, like I thought that was a little weird. But I mean, also too, like I was thinking, like, what's not to say this is, even though like, yeah, he's treating it like an Access Hollywood interview. What's not to say that that's going to be built in to his character as he goes forward too? What's not to say that he's just explaining like how he went about it, but also going to put that in the storyline as he's explaining himself further with John Cena. I don't know. There could be, they swerved everyone already on one thing. This could all be a work too part of it.
I mean, it could be some kind of weird meta like story thing where it's Dwayne Johnson who is like, that's him as a person, but it's also like it's like the way I could also perceive it, it's like I'm the board of directors, I have like the power, I'm explaining like how we went about this because this is what I wanted out of this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I guess you could kind of see it in that weird meta character because he is board of directors. And then when you see him on screen, you're just basically seeing like the guy with the power, moving the chess pieces. So
that's why I feel like maybe this could be part of the persona of his character, because for Cena to still be in that character and do what he did, and then for The Rock to be so casual, it's making us think differently. But really, maybe there's something more to it too. When Triple H is up there doing his part, it's kind of like he's just talking to the people about the success of the pay-per-view, and what they're planning on doing going forward.
Yeah, because like for Triple H, it's like that's the other thing. It's like The Rock is involved in a major story, but Triple H, I mean, we all know like his current role is like, I'm the guy backstage, I'm in charge of creative, and he kind of comes out and talks about how many tickets they sold and that kind of stuff. And so you can kind of keep that separate. But again, it's like The Rock was just involved in like a main event level story, and he's walking out and just kind of explaining what he just did in the ring. But
you didn't even have to change the channel. Like, that's my thing. You didn't have to change the channel. We didn't have to wait. It just like if you left it on, you went to the bathroom, you got another beer. By the time you made it back, he was like not tearing apart, but dissecting it, and
explaining it,
like speaking in a context of like that's meant for like talk shows.
Yeah,
like he could have saved that for like Jimmy Fallon or Danhausen or any of the other guys.
Yeah, something, and then also maybe not like within a week. Give it like maybe after WrestleMania 41 if you really want to do something wild. But
yeah, like that 40 docu special that we waited 13 times for.
Yeah, like they were supposed to release it, then I guess they changed. They were probably editing or changing things, or maybe they wanted to add some extra stuff. I don't know, but that didn't come out until like what, SummerSlam, around SummerSlam.
Like he just finished fucking whipping the shit out of Cody Rhodes and taking his blood and smearing that shit on that belt, and then he acted like that shit was like, yeah, whatever, it was la-di-da, super nice, and he's like all lighthearted and shit about it.
He's like, I clocked out. It's okay now. It's just me.
Yeah, it's shit.
Which is like why for me it's like that I could still kind of see it being like this weird meta heel character thing. You know what I mean? Like he's answering questions from the crowd, and he is the final boss, like board member. But yeah, I don't know. You could get pretty meta and weird if they can get really smart with this. But I don't know.
Psycho Man is.
Yeah.
I mean, that one guy asked him, like, who is the final boss? Like, are you a heel or are you a face? And he was kind of describing like he's this like in-betweener, like he can be whoever he wants to be. He can sing and, cheer up the crowd and then be like, shut the hell up because The Rock's singing or whatever. So he's trying to toe that line, but, I think he's still trying to figure it out.
Yeah. I feel like the concept of like heel and face is still important in wrestling. I do think that there if you are a character kind of like The Rock who can be more fluid with it, I guess, like I'm not opposed to that. I think if you can make it interesting, then be my guest. But we'll see what happens. But